Hi everyone, my name is Anurag Parihar and you're watching me on RostrumLegal. Welcome to yet another episode of Toppers Talk where we chat with some of the toppers of CLAT PG 2022 and other LLM entrance exams. In today's episode, we will be talking to Aniket Sachan. Aniket is a 2022 graduate of Dr. Ram Manohar Lohiya National Law University. He scored 134 marks in Indian Law Institute LLM entrance exam and made it to their first merit list. Aniket also secured AIR 206 in CLAT PG 2022 exam. Aniket is also a student of CLAT PG Masterclass at RostrumLegal and he is associated with us from last 6 months. Hi Aniket, welcome to Toppers Talk.
Hello, sir.
How are you doing? And
I'm fine.
great, great. So thank you so much for taking your time and joining this call. My first question to you, is not related to your preparation, but I want you to tell our viewers, how was your undergraduate journey at RML, and also, like why you chose to study law. Please share, some of your insights with us.
So, first of all, you asked me about my journey at RML, I'll say it was a incredible journey with that. I can say it was a roller coaster ride also. Starting coming to an RML with lot of expectations that you come, like being in an LU. First of all, I did the CLAT UG examinations in 2017. That time also, I was not sure that will I able to make it into an LU, but I made it. And when I went to RML, there were a lot of expectations. I had certain seniors who told me about the pattern and the rigorous culture there, that it's you have to study and there are a lot of things which you have to do. But when I went there, I saw it's just a myth that has been created that RML is a very strict college, but it's not that. You can easily manage. You can. It's a university where studies are also there. It has a lot of cultural events. It has a lot of sports events. So it's a university which can groom you into a very versatile, it is a dynamic and versatile personality. Apart from that, academics also is a good option because the study curriculum is not that much vast or that much hectic. So you can develop a lot of personality qualities also. You can have certain leadership qualities by taking part in certain extracurricular activities. You can participate in debates, moods, as well as the research paper. We have a lot of good seniors who have done very well in the mooting section as well as research papers also. Myself also have appeared in certain moot court competitions. I have been a quarter finalist at in a Nagpur college, a moot court competition. Apart from that, I had keen interest towards research paper writing and I have 17 publications to my record, and I've written certain journals also for certain journals as well as certain blogs and articles. So I have a keen interest towards research paper, not much that of mooting. Apart from that, I've tried to maintain my academic standards as I have keen interest towards academics and teaching. So I have ranked sixth in my batch out of 180 students. And I opted for international law as my honors because in RML you're offered honors in BLLB. So I opted for this specifically international honors being a new subject, and as we all know, international law is going day by day and it has a wide opportunity to study abroad also. Therefore, I took for the international law.
Awesome. That's a good journey so far. Can we just move a bit back quickly? So like, what motivated you to study law, and
Also,
how has it been throughout these 5 years? So are you still on the right path?
so studying law was since in my family there is no person from legal background. Therefore, I decided to have certain new field which can get draw my interest. So in my school days, in my class 12 specifically, there was an lecture being organized by a particular institution, and with certain people came. There were certain people from NGOs also came and told about how the community service and legal aid clinics works. So they were basically regarding there was a session on trafficking and those issues. So they told
Mhm.
how students as well as many people, young children are being minors, specifically minors and that too female and women minors are being involved in these trafficking activities, and how there is a process to tackle these issues and how to deal with them. So that draw my interest. They draw insight on particular articles of the constitution as well as the particular laws. So I thought that law is a field which is a very dynamic and it's a interdisciplinary approach. If you see any field which we have, be it science, medical, anything, there's a law you always involved. If you are inventing something, you need to go for patent, you need to go for a thing. If you are in medical field, you want to register your medicines or you want to give any case of medical negligence. So and every field you go there, law has an intersectional role to play. Therefore, I believe this law makes you sharp and not only at a particular field, but it broadens your horizon. Like if we are seeing today the aviation and space technology are also growing. So there are also laws specifically dealing with that. we are so much today, the youth which we are today in India, so we are very much focused on sports. So there's a particular law dealing with these sports and betting. So I believe these basic knowledge which law provides you not only grooms you in particular legal field, it shapes you in a lot of other personalities and perspectives which you can imbibe being a law student.
Great, great, great. That sounds good. So Aniket, after you decided to appear for CLAT PG exam and you were preparing for that. In the meanwhile, you also appeared for ILI and I'm sure like some other. You also gave the ALIT exam. So tell me about your preparation journey. Like how did you go about what was your approach towards studying, building foundations, and how did you go about taking each and every exam?
So,
Yeah.
so basically, right at RML, I have also started preparing for judicial services from my fourth year, and so my certain subjects which I was dealing, I was starting from last year only. But for
Mhm.
CLAT specifically, I've started from the month of January. And first of all, I analyzed the question papers of the CLAT at certain seniors also who had qualified a good rank. As in RML, there has been culture of providing a great rank in the CLAT examinations. From
Mhm.
2020, we had AIR 1, and in 2021, even AIR 2 was from a college. So we had a good senior background, so they also provided a lot of insight how to tackle with the CLAT examinations. So I had a briefing with them and I asked them certain questions, how to prepare and what strategy should I opt. So basically, I first of all I was not going in a separate direction for ILI or CLAT or ILET. I was first of all saw the common subjects which I have to deal with. So any
Mhm.
exams which you appear like with ILI, CLAT or ILET, five subjects forms the key foundation. That is the Constitution, jurisprudence, PIL, IPC, and certain aspect of torts and contract. So these
Mhm.
five subjects are the one which you have to have a command in any examination which you give, either it's of APO, judiciary, or any entrance examination. These five forms the genesis of any particular paper. Coming to the family law, it's the something which you can keep aside because even in this CLAT also there was not much significance at involvement of a particular family law like Hindu law or Muslim law, because there was a particular passage of the Special Marriage Act and Family Courts Act. So there's such
Mhm.
questions which come not only is something which you have to study because it's a subject that many have also not studied. So it will not give you that much
Yeah.
edge. So if you are focused on these particular five subjects, I believe it provides a strong foundation. So I prepared the constitution law and all these five subjects. And
Mhm.
but I would say for difference is in the certain what of you can say current legal knowledge awareness. In CLAT, you have to focus on the recent judgments also, as well as the bench strength or the what are the ratio and all these things. But for the ILI
Mhm.
examination, the basic strategy is they do not deal with the current examination. It's based on old school pedagogy only. That direct questions are there. Like it was earlier in
Knowledge
CLAT before
based
2020. Yeah,
questions. Yeah.
it's simply a basic command question paper, and if you have basic command on the subject, it's easy to crack. And one thing I will advise to the fellow examiners who want to give ILI, specifically ILI, is that for ILI you have to analyze past year questions. I can write it on a paper that 30% of the papers at every paper have been repeated from the previous papers. Even in my this particular ILI examination, I could see 20 to 25 questions were directly repeated same to same in this ILI
Mhm.
examinations also. And the easiest thing is if you do these subjects, I guess you can slowly score around 80 to 90 out. See, ILIs are basically divided into 140 marks of MCQs, 40 marks of
Mhm.
subjective, and 20 marks of interview. So for the 140 marks, if you study these five subjects, these forms a key genesis to give you an edge over others. And there are other laws also like torts and these all, but it's a very minor law and everyone has a small attribute knowledge about torts and all. Just one thing I would like to say, there is SOGA and partnership also involved in this. So
Mhm.
you have to go through it, but there's a crack to do if you're not doing also. You can see the options. From options also, the elimination method technique provides a very great hand, because certain lines are there in options which automatically provides you that this will be the only answer because it's linked with the other laws also. If you have studied contracts, so there's certain keywords which are related with the Goods Act also, so you can just intermix them and easily find the answer for that. So this was the key I followed, and mainly I focused on the previous year question papers. There are certain channels on YouTube also which have previous year question paper analysis. You can go through them, because I like question papers are not easily available on Google, so that's was a went to the YouTube. And for coming to the CLAT, I would say it's you have to do with the recent case laws. I followed live law, even the Rostrum YouTube session which were there for the daily case losses. I used to do that. Certain times I was not having the time to attend those sessions, so I wrote the PDFs. Apart from that, there are certain YouTube channels also which provide current legal awareness, so you can go through them because they provide a crux of the information instead of going to
Mhm.
those things. But as we see on this current paper of CLAT, I would basically say this thing was a really unpredictable paper. So you can't rely
Mhm.
on particular one source because the judgments were involved from very deep of the passage. For
Yeah.
example, the amalgamation on the passage which was there. So it cannot, no one could have read that passage in such detail. So you can be not sure about what your resources are. So you must expound the resources and study in a very precise way.
Great, great, great. Uh, so ILI also has a descriptive part,
Agreed.
and a lot, and even ALET also has a descriptive part. And a lot of people, because throughout the year you're just preparing to, absorb knowledge from books and not practicing too much. So how did you go about like doing the answer writing part in the ILI exam?
See, first of all, for ILI and ILET, there is a basic difference in answer writing. I'll say for ILI, you are given a very short answer writing questions. Like in 150
Mhm.
words, you have to sum up the entire answer. There are four
Yep.
questions and they are mandatory. You have to attend all. But for
Mhm.
ILET, there are out of 10 questions and you have, I guess, 8 to 10 questions and you have to do only two questions. But there are 25 marks each. So there's a
Mhm.
difference in the weightage of marks,
Yep.
and that adds up to a lot of extent because writing a 25 marks answer and writing a 10 this 10 marks each question answer is a very bit
Mhm.
different strategy.
Yep.
So like in my exam which I gave for ILI, there were four questions. One was based on reservation, basically on Article 15 and 16. One was on frustration of contract. Another was dealing with jurisprudence, specifically the Austrian sovereignty concept. And one question I'm not able to recall. So these four questions which were there. So like whenever you study any particular subject like contract, there are
Mhm.
certain case laws also which you are dealing with that. So you will not have to write in much exhaustive detail in ILI examination. You have to basically focus on the particular introducing what is frustration. Like for example, the question of frustration, just general
Mhm.
introduction of frustration along with the section dealing with to the difference in how they are, what are the exceptions of force this doctrine of frustration and how it's interrelated with the force majeure and what are the shortcomings of doctrine of frustration with leading case laws of Taylor Cadwell versus Henry, Indian case laws. If you write this much, I guess that's sufficient to answer because ILI have a very strict checking for the subjective questions. As far as I've seen the merit list of ILI, hardly there was certain only few amount of students who have secured 20 plus out of 40. So they have a
Right.
very strict checking in that. So you can't rely on subjective portion much. You have to do very well in the objective that only provides you the edge. For example, there were only this time the paper pattern saw a lot of people who are above 100 in MCQs earlier because inclusive of subjective, the cutoff used to be very low, but this time the students were exceptionally high. So you have to focus not on subjective much, but you have to focus on objective portion much because if you study objective well, you will surely be able to do the basic portion of objective for ILI. But for ILET, you need to brush up your skills and the answer writing portion because they have a lenient checking. But if you don't write particular sections, particular case laws, specifically they're asking a contract-based question, so you have to mention that case law. So I believe that thing is a basic difference between ILI of the subjective ethic papers and the ILET paper.
Great, great. How about the interview part? So that's like the
Okay.
final stage, right, where you were
So
shortlisted and you go.
interview is something that really makes you nervous because you're always in a sense of fear that what will happen in interview. When I went for the interview, I was ready in goosebumps, like I was very afraid because though I had edge in my written examination because there was an interview of 20 marks and I knew that I have a certain good amount of marks in my subjective as well as objective, so I was at really a good edge above other candidates. But always, since like you face interview, there's always a mindset going on if they ask something different because I had since you know that I told you that I did international law honors for BLLB, but being it online SEM, so I was not much well versed with my international command because for preparing for CLAT, I had not focused much on the international law, internal aspects like of international organizations or humanitarian law. So I was in doubt because Manoj, so the director of ILI, he is a well profound professor in international law, and I knew if he just taught me international law, he will surely grill me very hard. But I went for the interview. They called me. Basically, the 2 days are fixed for interview. One is for the reserved category candidates. One is for the general candidates. And they give you a particular time slot. You have to appear at that particular time with certain documents. My documents verification was done, and I was called for the interview. I was waiting outside, and I saw people coming from the interview room. They were saying they are asking a lot of many questions. There are people. It was like a constitutional bench type of aspect. Five teachers were sitting there, and so when you get to know that five people are sitting, then you get more afraid. So I went in. I saw Manoj sir was sitting in the middle. There were other teachers also, and as soon as I went, he just started like, "You are from RML, okay?" So he just said, "You are done international law." Then it was really it was some because I got to know like Manoj sir will gonna ask and throw questions on me, so I was very afraid. But I first of all tried to calm myself because if you get afraid that time, you're probably gonna just worsen your interview. So I tried to calm myself. I was sure that we will ask basic questions because in interview they do not test your subjective knowledge to that extent because they're given the entrance. They know that you are able to qualify those subjective details, and now you're coming for the interview, so you would be knowing. So they ask basic questions only. So he started asking with basic questions like which organization deals with the maintenance of international peace and security, any particular resolution when international security council is not able to deal with the issues, and which resolution general assembly can take over the part. And certain question from the UN aspect he has asked me. Then he came with the what is the difference in human rights and international humanitarian law. So these basic core questions also he had asked. One question which he asked me where I was stuck was what is the difference between treaty and protocol. So this question basically, because generally we study treaty protocol conventions in a similar way, but I was not well versed with the exact difference which I could tell. So I was saying, so I just apologize, sorry sir, I'm not well versed with that. Apart from then, when he did all my around, he asked me 8 to 10 questions of international law, and then he said, "But why you want to do international law? We don't offer you international law. So what's the purpose of your doing international law?" So I told him that I also have a keen interest in constitutional law further. So then he started throwing questions on constitutional law, like what is pardoning power, which articles mentioned for the same, how is president elected, which article deals with that. He draws certain questions on the list also of seven schedules. And like in remembering the list is very difficult
Yeah.
thing. But I guess he asked me entry 13 and 14 of list one because it was related to international law. That time I was not knowing, but when I came out of the room, I just searched for that. I got to know it was a treaty making power provision for the parliament in the entry. Therefore, he asked me because it was linked with the international law. So I just apologized with him same. But when I just sum up the interview, he was happy with my performance. He indeed said to me that it was a good interview. Hope you seen I was like feeling confident that time. Yeah, I guess my interview went good. So I came it out and I interacted with other fellow my batchmates who would be that time. So they also told me like when you fill the ILI form, the column of where you would mention your LLB marks, college, university, they ask you the subjects. So whatever subjects you write, generally they ask you on that question. As one of my friend also went, he has mentioned constitutional and environment law as subjects. So the questions that were focused to him were basically on environment and constitution. So to any candidate who is selected for the interview, I'll just say, first of all, kindly fill the form with much accuracy. Kindly mention those subjects which you're confident, so it will provide you a edge. Because if you mention any other subjects and if they ask you any question, you would be blank and it will surely make a bad impression on the interview.
Awesome. This is a good insight. And also, like what I personally felt was, interview especially they check your knowledge. So
Yeah,
you should have a strong foundation, right? And then
indeed.
you can't just bluff around because like the person sitting in front of you has all the knowledge and like they already analyze you what you have filled in the form and they will ask you relevant questions.
And even the
Okay.
teachers which are there, they're specialized in that particular field. Like one teacher was specifically for the constitutional law, one was for the
Okay.
international law. And since the questions were addressed to me by Manohar sir himself, and it was of he's the profound knowledge of the international law, the other teachers were sitting idle because they know when the director themselves is questioning, they should like
Yeah. Yeah.
international law the subject. So I was safe from other teachers. That was a certain edge I can say from doing international law.
Fine. 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 That's great. So, how was your journey with Rostrum Legal and like how do you think like the course in which you were enrolled like helped you like with
Surely, I'd
your
like to say, first of all, certain subjects which I was always afraid in my college, certain likely, first of all, jurisprudence. The teaching by Umang sir was coming to a helping hand because he taught jurisprudence in a very similar and a very, I can say, to a precise way. He made certain key points. He made his notes were predefined, and everything he taught was concept cleared in my mind. Like whenever something now question comes to me regarding Austin and Bentham, I'm so sure what I have to deal with. He has made such clear concepts. So the basic commands of the jurisprudence, I can say now I have much more knowledge than I had in my college graduation days while studying jurisprudence for a single semester because it's a subject which always draw fancy of lot of law students. That jurisprudence is a very mysterious subject and no one is able to understand. But Umang sir really do well and made us understand. Similarly for PIL also his notes were a very helping hand. I was not able to do much of the classes because from March onwards the college day started and the lot of events started like farewell weeks and all those events started. The college getting into offline and the exams also came from the April month. So for those particular 1.5 months, I was not able to attend much classes, but I focused on my keynotes and I attended the mocks. For the mocks, I would say Rostrum question bank mocks were also great. Though the paper which came this time was really unpredictable, as no institute mocks came up to that precise, and everybody students which are discussed in the center, they all said this time mocks were not at all helpful because CLAT gave such thing which are out of the box. But I don't agree with them because mocks you give when you do not know answer, you try to analyze that with this section and options. You have studied different portions. So these mocks were also good, I believe. And best of all thing, I'll say for instead of mocks, I'll say the notes provided by the rostrum, they're much more handy in hand, because mocks cannot be exact converted into the exam paper, but the knowledge which you gain from the notes as well as teaching, that was surely a helping hand for me, specifically for jurisprudence, PIL, and the IPC.
Great, great, great. Thank you so much for the insights. Uh, Again, so you said there was a lot of things going on during March, 1.5 months, like events, college opened, COVID, and then exams got postponed. So and you had multiple exams to take. I remember you talking to Chandrika ma'am. You always used to say that, ma'am, I want to go back to RML and do my LLM from there, right? So first thing is, like, again, like, there are two questions here. First thing is, which a lot of people ask, I'm sure you've seen in our chat, why people prefer to go back to RML. Like, so, that's like one. Yeah. So can you answer that first, and then we'll.
So basically, for LLM, the people, those who opt RML is because those who want to prepare for competitive examinations, RML is a good hub. The study structure is not comparatively to other NLUs that much hectic. You get enough of time to study for your preparations.
Mhm.
Like if you want to focus for UGC, NET, Judiciary, UPSC, or any other examinations, you have ample amount of time to study here. Though there are classroom attendance requirement as other NLUs, but the pedagogy and the study structure which RML has designed, it's not that much lengthy, because you can, even if you don't go to classes, or like if you have certain sort of attendance, the medical procedures and those things which you try to give up for your attendance is much relaxed.
Mhm.
And the peers also, they have a good senior, so the curriculum, if you have notes, the project culture is also not that, like in other NLUs there's a proper plagiarism check, and currently we at RMNLU also have, but there's certain of leniency shown towards the students. So because of this particular culture, and one more thing I told you, that a lot of cultural activities as well as gaming. If you are a sports person, then you have a lot of time to play also. So these things provide RML edge that many candidates try to draw upon coming towards RML. And also Lucknow, specifically the students from UP, for them that's a really a good choice, because being in UP, you get a college in UP also, and and those are the students of RML. The 5 year journey, it makes college as a family part, so you
Yeah.
make it as a secondary home, so that going away makes you feel certain of emotion. That emotion is attached to that particular building. So for me also, I can say emotion was attached. I have a lot of memories from my meeting friends and all those, because even for this CLAT PG examinations, I am very grateful to certain of my friends like Surya and Juhi and Arpit. They used to recently discuss with me about the concepts. We had a healthy discussions on this particular topics also, like what to study and what not. We discussed case laws whenever we met. We discussed these sections, which hence they provided me an insight on particular topic which I was not well versed. So this provided a good community also to study and develop your skills.
Great, great, great. Again, Nick, second question on the same series. Like, there were so many things going on throughout the year. So, how did you, keep yourself focused? I'm sure you've got a good rank in CLAT. You'll definitely get the choice of course you want at the university. So, how did you keep yourself focused throughout, these tough times going on?
First of all, I would say, since there is a notification on the BCI that LLM would turn into 2 year course, they will try to scrap off 1 year course. From that particular time, it draw my fancy, because I was worrying, because if LLM becomes of 2 years, then it will be a very lengthy procedure for me, like 5 years LLB down the track with a 1 year
Mm-hmm.
of drop from after my 12th. Coming to 2 years more of LLM, it will be a lot of similar to my medical course students which I'm doing the course. So therefore, I tried that there's a time this year, CLAT is of 1 year. I should focus instead, when I don't know when Bar Council comes with the mystery hand that 11 year course is scrapped. So I tried to focus keeping that in my mind. Apart from that, there was also UGC notification from 2023, like those candidates who had, when they cleared UGC examination, they not need to have mandatorily PhD for appearing for the associate professor. So I was also having that also in my mind. By 2020, I should complete my LLM so that I will be eligible for the post of assistant professor, basically. So that things in my mind were helping me to keep me motivated. Apart from that, I was an academic student also, as I told. So I had a keen interest toward academics. I was preparing for the judicial services, but I also like teaching field, because I also in my class days I had my own YouTube channel which I run, and I used to teach
Wow.
about that subject. So basically, that was the trauma insight. So I try to focus myself and keep engaged, because I was like, if I'm not able to crack this particular examinations of LLM, I would have to
Mhm.
be at home, and being a student like me, I don't find myself well conversant to study at home because there's a lot of disturbances. So I just wanted to also have a particular institution which will provide me a degree also, and I also will be having to have time to study for my preparation strategies also. So therefore, I thought that these things I should keep in mind instead of the basic distractions. Because when the exam was postponed, though I was sad, I was feeling like this will provide a certain edge to other students also, those who will start because of this 1 month gap. As you know, the UPSC exam was also on the June. It was there, and because of that, many UPSC students who gave the exam, they also got a time to study for the 1 month time, and they could also enter the examination field. And this CLAT examination, those who say is based on hard work, I do not agree with them. This CLAT examination is a mixture of hard work as well as luck, because there are many students also and who have not studied for that much long time, but they have secured good ranks. So it's not a picture of hard work like other judiciary examinations. Where you have to put a lot of, you have to do smart work in this particular examination. So at this particular point of time, I would say one has to be motivated basically enough, because if you want to crack any examinations, motivation is the key. And once you give up, then the entire trend goes on. And one more thing I would like to advise these students basically, which I made mistake, was that whenever you have idle time left in the examination, please don't try to attempt the other questions, because I did around 80 to 85 questions and was feeling like I did certain less. And I tried to do certain more questions to secure, like I've been aiming to do 100 questions and I have a good marks of opportunity. But in doing those extra 15 questions, I ended up losing my marks in negative also. So this thing which comes in your mind when you have last 20 to 30 seconds, 30 minutes left, and you're sitting like these questions appear too less, and you are seeing like you can get negative also, you will not able to get 70 plus marks. Don't try to do that. If a paper is tough for you, if you're prepared well, then it's surely going to be tough for all. And don't try to indulge in such activities like aiming that if I do 10 to 15% extra, my 7 to 8% would be right. Because I was not sure. I was also like in 50% in certain questions at those questions. But my luck didn't favor me this time, and my marks went in negative, or I could have secured a better rank. I could have a two-digit rank also in the same.
Great, great. That's a good insight. So thank you so much, Aniket, for your time and all the insights which you have given. I'm sure anyone appearing for this exam will find them useful. And once again, congratulations for your hard work and the result which you have secured. And we wish you all the best in your
Thank you, sir.
all the future endeavors.
I would also like to thank you and the team Rostrum for giving a wonderful opportunity and providing such a wonderful content for the students like us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
So, everyone who's watching this video, if you liked this video, make sure you hit the like button and share this with your friends. Do subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. We will be coming up with many more episodes of Toppers Talk, and I'm sure you will find and you'll get amazing insights from the toppers who have made it, and it will help you in your preparation. Thank you so much for watching.